It is our first anniversary of arriving in the Dordogne. It was exactly a year ago.
Well, yeah, they arrived for the first time. Yeah,
For the
very first time
we ever came to the Dordogne.
and got the crazy idea.
And started thinking that maybe it was a possible. No, how lovely would it be to live in a lovely place like this, where on the 1st of November you could still sit outside in your short sleeves and get a bit of sun and enjoy life outdoors as the sun is setting. And since then,
Watch the previous videos.
we've sold our house in Ireland. We've moved here. We've been living here for 9 weeks.
9 weeks,
nearly
10 weeks.
Nearly coming 10 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, and we celebrated Halloween last night. Samhain, as I celebrate, in the middle of the forest with some new French friends and a Dutch friend. In the middle of the forest in the Dordogne around a bonfire, and I was kind of pinching myself thinking, has this really all happened? Last year we weren't even thinking about this, really, so it certainly wasn't much of a possibility, but there you go. So we haven't videoed for ages.
No, we
because
haven't.
We've been really busy.
Well, we've been kind of enjoying the adventure of looking at houses and getting more clear on, you know, what works for us and what doesn't, and talking to a lot of people and making contacts, getting some kind of spooky not coincidences, probably the wrong word, spooky synchronicities. That's good alliteration, isn't it? Spooky synchronicities, especially at Halloween.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting, journey. You know, we sort of didn't do much house hunting at all for the first few weeks that we arrived, and then we've been staying in this beautiful house sitting here for the last 4 weeks. And so we gave ourselves a couple of weeks to get settled in, and the last 10 days, last 10 days, we've seen about 12 houses, I think, 10 or 12 houses, I think.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. There's so many houses on the market in the Dordogne. There's so many, and there's really good value. And we are very clear about what we want, kind of. We're very clear.
You can't say we're very clear, kind of.
No, well,
it doesn't work for people.
We are, but we're also very open to lots of different possibilities. So it's kind of hard to explain to an estate agent, especially in French, but we're doing our best. And we've been to see ultra-modern, contemporary, architect-designed houses. We've been to see 15th century...
Falling down
medieval
with
houses.
lots of potential.
We've been to see tobacco barns that have been renovated. We've been to see so many different properties. And we're getting clearer and clearer and clearer about what we want. So we went to see one yesterday, and it was absolutely perfect. And I got really excited. I thought, yes, finally.
Well, it was perfect, except...
No, the house was beautiful, the outdoors was beautiful, everything was beautiful. But the location was good, but the aspect of the house, so in other words, it wasn't where we're sitting at the moment, this southwest facing. So we get all the evening sunsets, and we realised I love this time of the day and just being able to sit out, especially during the summer, and the house itself was was going to be too dark during the winter, so we kind of sat and had lunch afterwards, and I was like, but I really want to buy it, it would be really perfect. And Owen was going, what are you saying? Now he was playing devil's advocate and being very sensible and being very pragmatic, and totally right. So it's been a really interesting journey, because I can be very impulsive. I used to be very, very impulsive when I was younger. And so it's great. It was a good balance to have Owen going, no.
Well, I can be impulsive in some ways, but I think when you're, for small things that can be great fun, but for something as big as the house you're going to live in, it's a huge decision. And I think it's kind of easy after a while, when you've been looking for something, for yourself, it's kind of easy to sell yourself short and go for something that feels, great in some ways, and not really check in with yourself about every aspect of it. So yeah, it's important to sit back sometimes and reflect and kind of chew on it a little bit, and then realise, you know what, we'd be kicking ourselves in 6 months' time. We'd be sitting here, and the evening sun would be over there, hidden behind the house and hidden behind the hill, and you wouldn't get the benefit of the kind of 3 o'clock till 10 o'clock light. And one of the reasons we moved here was we wanted more light, more expansiveness, more openness. And so why would we sell ourselves short? So basically, the search continues. Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting, for me, if we just to sort of widen the subject out, it really is this. The process is just about getting clearer and clearer and clearer, and you can apply this process to any aspect of your life. Whether it be, we actually both had done it in terms of our the type of relationship we were looking for before we met each other, and getting clearer and going out on dates with different people. Going, nearly, not quite, nearly, not quite, nearly, and then.
Well, they weren't all not quite. Some were just no.
Oh, that's true. And or your job hunt and going for interviews, or new car, whatever. But it's so easy to be impatient, and that was what I bumped up against yesterday, was a little bit of impatience. It was like, damn, this house, we could live here. This would be absolutely fine. It would be fine, and that. Almost the almost selling yourself short, or settling for second best, or settling for not everything on the tick list. And all the estate agents here say to us, "Oh, you won't get all that. You won't get all that. You can't get the perfect house." So that's their belief, and that's their limiting belief, and we're choosing to believe that we can.
Yeah.
So it's been really interesting, and then the other side of it all is about. Tuning into not just, so we have the very logical, rational tick list of the things that we're looking for.
We do.
And that's how we filter through on our extensive web searches and looking at properties online, and that's how we filter down to get to our short list.
But then we contact the agents themselves, and so we're meeting people and we're tuning into what they're saying as well. So it's a mixture of all of that, which is all very practical. But then there's also the intuition that I suppose... Certainly, in terms of kind of arriving at a house where you get that intuitive hit, it's quite easy to know straight away. No. It's probably quite easy to know straight away, possibly, but to actually know 100%, that's the kind of hit that we're hoping to get pretty soon. To walk in and almost to be in tears and say, "Oh, this is it."
Yeah. And also then the flip side of that is to listening to your intuition. When something's nearly right, but not quite. So we went to a house the other day, and I could have lived there. I was like, yeah. And it was like this alarm bell was going off just about here for me. It was like, I was thinking, what the hell is that? And I had to really sit back and question what it was. And it was a totally irrational, not based on anything at all, alarm bell going off about the neighbours. And that could potentially be an issue with these specific people.
Yeah.
Wasn't based on anything rational.
Yeah. Well, if I heard a noise going, was that close? I think I'd listen to it too. Mine doesn't go off quite that loud, but I had the same type of feeling around the situation, but it wasn't as strong as Jenny's alarm.
And then the other weird thing is, we're talking about spooky synchronicities. Yeah. So for those of you who've been following a little bit of the journey, or maybe been following us on Facebook, one of the things that happened this time last year was that we realised that the Camino de Santiago de la Compostela runs down through different parts of the Dordogne. And this is an old pilgrimage route from the north of Europe all the way down to Santiago de Compostela, which is in the northwest of Spain. Yeah. So it's a pilgrimage, and it's very spiritual pilgrimage thing. And it had been in my awareness for a long time. And I remember saying, like 10 years ago, "Oh, one day I'm going to walk the Camino. One day I'm going to walk the Camino." And we have friends who've walked the Camino and various different things. So we found out that it was very close, and we ended up walking bits of it last year. We filmed a video this time last year on the Camino.
We did, about what we wanted, about our wishes.
About our wishes, that's
and all that, which is kind of spooky to watch now.
So you can check back on that. And just in the last 4 or 5 days, we keep getting these really weird signs that we should be looking for a house that is almost on the Camino. So they've been really weird signs. But what was your first one? You going to share that?
Well, I had a visitation. I had a visitation in the middle of the night.
In a dream.
In a dream, and it really felt like a visitation. And the message was, don't forget about the Camino. This is an invitation this is an invitation. Don't forget about the Camino.
Now, we haven't been talking about the Camino.
No, we hadn't. So it wasn't
weeks.
in my subconscious at all. And I know the difference between, a dream and a visitation, and it really felt like a visitation. And, I was at that stage where, not that I was scared, but I was aware this is quite unusual. This felt very different. So that was one of mine.
And then we woke up the next morning, and you mentioned the Camino to me, and something had happened that morning at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I had seen something specifically about the Camino again. Anyway, there's a whole load of different things that have been happening. We had another really spooky one yesterday morning where I randomly chose a winner of a competition for a free place on an event that I'm running. I randomly chose this winner from loads of people who had liked and shared the post on Facebook. And when I went onto her Facebook page just to see who she was that had won this prize, the first photograph of her was her standing on the Camino with the sign for the Camino beside it. And I was going, oh, and this is really spooky. Out of all the people, there was like 350 people entered this competition. And she was randomly chosen, and she happened to have a photograph of her standing on the Camino. So
there you go.
So we're kind of in that space of just really enjoying the journey and really keeping an eye out for signs, especially Camino signs.
Well, especially, I mean, when we were laughing about it, I said to Jenny, well, okay, if we actually land in a house where it's very clear that this is it because, there's one or two things maybe about the Camino either in the house or very, very close, and we just know that this is the house. But then if it doesn't hit all our tick list,
how much do we trust that?
How much do we trust that? Do we ignore the kind of intelligence that's kind of pointing us in certain directions? Do we ignore our intuition because the garden isn't quite big enough, or that pool is not long enough for Jenny, or do we totally trust? So that'll be quite interesting if that happens, and I have a sense it might.
So where's this space? Because we have no idea. On the other side of things, on Friday, 2 days' time, we are moving into our winter rental home, which we've got for next to nothing. I still have to keep pinching myself about that one. Don't pinch me. And somebody said today, you're moving house on Friday. Wow, gosh, that's a lot. And I said, no, actually, moving house for us now means putting our stuff out of this house into the camper van. And driving down
all
the road.
All of our stuff, which fits into about that kind of size.
Driving down the road is going to be the simplest house move we've ever done. So travelling light is the way to go.
It is the way to go. It is the way to go. Yeah.
So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe here, and we will record from our new winter home on top of the hill sometime soon. Keep you updated. In Montbazillac. Oui. Montbazillac. Oh, and by the way, Anna speaks fluent French.
Not fluent, no. Anyway,
that's another story.
À la prochaine.
See you later. À la prochaine.